Hello and welcome to another episode of Lucky These Stories. When I came to America in '99, and there was a point where I always had a curious thought, like why dog happens to be the most prominent pet in America, and not only in America, I think across the globe. I went into the history, and what I found was that in 1917, there was a 102 infantry regiment in North Haven, in New Haven, Yale, and there was a stray dog named. He had a short tail, and the surgeon named him as Stubby, and that happens to be a dog where in the First World War they took this dog to France, and during that time in the France, what I learned through the history was that that dog happens to become the most um, um, pet animal in the entire infantry in France during the Second World War. And at that time, when he came back, he became overnight sensation in American society.
Really?
And yes, and that story became a household story, and he was the first dog named as a Sergeant Stubby, and that dog happens to meet three living presidents at that time, and and then thereafter, fast forward, Second World War came in, American society. There was an American dream where you have a house, you have a yard, and you have a fence, and then you also have a dog. But then Hollywood came in, the pop culture came in, the dog became like a Scooby Dooby, the Rin Tin Tin, if you remember.
Yeah.
That dog came, that stories came in, but then now, fast forward social media. So now it's becoming more and more. So today we have YouTube content creator Paul and Bri, who happens to be recently engaged. So
Yes.
Yes, we have.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So I'm thrilled to have them on my show for two reasons. One, I want to understand the creative mind, but B, I also want to understand through this channel that what makes them keep going and what drives them. So, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks. So let me start with this. What does the T-shirt "Less people, more dogs" means?
So, funny story, Less People, More Dogs is actually merch that we've created. So, this shirt and then this shirt as well are our designs that we have on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
And we wanted to create something that a lot of people can resonate with
Oh.
and just kind of relate to. And in today's society, it's like, in my opinion, dogs are they bring so much joy, happiness in life. And I just think if we had more dogs and less people, it'd just be a happier, funnier place. So it's kind of cliche, but it's just funny to say like, oh, less people, more dogs, it'd be a better world.
Yes, and welcome to the Koda. I forgot to mention, and I was doing a research on the name Koda, and if I understood correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a very Native American. The name is very popular in Native
Yes.
American. It means friendly. Is that true? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, it's actually from the Disney movie Brother Bear. So
Oh,
I got her name from just watching the movie during my childhood. And it's Koda and Kenai, these two brothers, Brother Bear. And they take care of each other. And it's a Native American name. It's just a really happy, friendly name
yes,
in
and
their
compassion,
language.
they take.
Yes.
I want to go back and understand a little bit of a history. When we brought about the Native American, when I was doing a little history on the dogs and how dogs made it to where a dog is today, one thing I learned that when in early times when the Europeans came into America, dog happens to be not a pet animal. It was more of a animal that would help you to do the farms, the herdings, and all that stuff. And then in that, if you go back, Native Americans also did the same thing. But then it transitioned to what I said earlier, right? With the surgeons to be came
Mm-hmm.
in a picture, and I never knew about this. And you guys learned this in a school? Was this story very popular?
I don't
Was
think it was very popular. I feel like it's just so ingrained in American
so
society
it's
now. It's
there, that is
just,
there. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
For
I
me,
don't
it was
even
a new thing
think.
because I didn't grow up. So it was a very so how when you talk about the dog, and when you talk about how does this journey of yours turning from being the pet to more of a content creator, like how do you make at what point in time you thought that, okay, this is not a pet but it's also a content creator that's going to help us move in the direction so you can share what you experience with others, right?
Yeah.
So what is that journey like? And most importantly, what made you get into this?
Well, it actually happened completely by accident as far as Koda goes. She was just something I really, really wanted. And I said, I've had a dog growing up my whole life and I kind of miss having one. Maybe we can get a dog. What do you think? And Paulie was like, I don't know. We're kind of taking off on content creation. YouTube's really like we're grinding on YouTube and we have so much going on. I don't know if this is the right time, but Paulie's really big on say yes to everything, don't say no to anything. So he was like, all right, let's do it and we'll see where it goes. And it happened by accident. I think you were filming a couple videos of Koda and posting them just for fun. Like we never intended on her being a part of what we do. We always said, okay, when we have to travel, when we have to work, we'll bring her to my parents' house and they'll watch her for us because they love dogs. So that was our plan and it snowballed after first couple of videos we posted and
Then we're like, we'll run with it if that's what people like to see
Yeah.
and they want to see dog content. We'll just continue with that. There's a massive market for like dog creators, dog influencers, because any pet brand they need advertising of other dogs using their brands. So we just found that'll work for us, and she's a very good-looking pup, and we could just
She is.
take that.
There was a movie that released on Friday, Good Boys. Have you heard about that?
I have not.
No.
Yeah, so you should check out. It's a movie about the dog.
Yeah.
It's about the dog name is Indy, and I was listening to an interview of the director who directed that movie, and the question was asked, like, it's not easy to create something with the dog. The entire movie is about the dog creating an expressions and creating that kind of a content which you're looking for, right? Now,
Right.
since you both are very creative mind, you also are into photography and filming and whatnot, right? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken,
Yep.
right? So having that mindset and trying to capture that right moment, how do you navigate to bring that moment that you're looking for into that content? Does it become sometimes frustrating, like what you're looking in your thoughts and it's not coming out?
Should we tell them about our most recent YouTube video experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Okay.
very frustrating. I mean, she has good days, she has bad days. There's days where it's really easy and we end up capturing some of the cutest videos we've ever seen. And then there's other days like, I don't know if you want to tell a story.
We were filming a YouTube video maybe 2 weeks ago, and we wanted to do like how to hike with a dog or changes we made to make hiking with a dog easier. Koda was not about it. She was not behaving. She would pull on the leash. She would go after every squirrel because we did it at Webb Mountain, so a lot of in the nature hiking squirrels. She was just not having a good time, and it was stressful for us because like we would try to film with her, and she would just start walking the other way. And I know she's her own dog. She's a creature. She's not going to follow all of our orders, but she has other YouTube videos. She was perfect. She's no issues. So it definitely does get difficult.
Yeah.
So does it come to a point where, as I've heard, and I'm not too educated on the dog. So do you think the dog also understands the emotions? They understand. Do you think in her back of mind she knows that when there is a camera, you have to start rolling? Like, is there some sort of a trick that goes into play when you do certain things?
Not really. I feel like we always try and capture the candid moments and we don't really like to script it too much. We kind of like to have it just natural how we truly function with her. That way people understand like this isn't just something we do as like a script or something we do to get paid. Like we're actually going out and doing these things. And I feel like that was a video we were trying to do with her so we could teach other people how to hike with a dog. And she really was just hiking. She was going after squirrels, she was smelling a bunch of things, and she was just honestly being who she was in that video. And I kind of feel like in those moments it's more on us to figure out how to film and capture around her versus her knowing that this is what's going on, you have to behave. So we try and just capture her normally in life.
And just take it and as if it comes. But does
Right.
it come through a process where you have to see like you take 10, like when I'm taking a picture, I take 15, 20, and then I try to sort it out. And then sometimes there are 10 of them which are really good, but then you struggle to see which one is the better one.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
come
yeah.
to a point, like, is there a lot of effort and time that goes into it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Hours.
Speaking from the YouTube side of it, like I do all the video editing, and we'll record a YouTube video that'll be the whole timeline will be like an hour and a half long. All that hour and a half will get shortened down to like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So more than 5 times of the footage is just wasted because we redo it so many times. We take more than one clip just to make sure we have the right one.
So it is a lot of
it is a
what,
lot of-
what people see on channel. It's just the outcome of it, but there is so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
hours and hours of footage that's just deleted.
Deleted.
Yeah.
So do you come to a point where you start realizing that, okay, now that you are creating a content and there is a lot of content that you create, do you sometimes feel like you may sometimes get frustrated and you may lose the focus because your objective is to spread the word about the dog and making sure that people actually are not compromising their day-to-day life and where they're traveling and they take dog with them, right? I think that's a basic. Is that the right message?
Yeah, we want to show people that, you could do life with your dogs. You can go on vacations with them. You know, having a dog is not a burden, or it's not like an extra thing to do. It's, you can seamlessly add a dog into your life, not have to sacrifice anything, right?
Yeah, no, it's exactly what we try and do. We try and show people that you shouldn't cage them in your home. They shouldn't be just trapped in your home as your pet. Bring them out and make them part of your life. And I just think asking, can I bring my dog with me? You're going to find more often than not the answer is usually yes. Or if you're able to and you have, the patience to travel like we have, that's what we try and show people. Like, you can travel, you can do this. It's not as hard as you think it is. And just seeing, like, people seeing other people doing it, I feel like makes it easier.
But does there come to a point where the cost could become a factor to it? Because you now traveling with the dog is an X amount of cost. But without traveling, does the math comes into a play where if I have to travel without a dog and I have put him into the daycare, would be a different thing versus taking. Does that? Do you guys think, like, is there a thought process that goes into it from a cost perspective?
For us, absolutely not. It's
No?
not even a question. Because, I mean, if you look at daycares and stuff, for example, or kenneling a dog, it's like, what, $100, $200 a night? But we find that pet fees at hotels are $65 to $95.
I think the cheapest we've experienced was like $35.
Yes, I
And then-
read that on a Business Insider you mentioned, right?
Yep. And then the
okay.
most, you're going to get all the chewing going on. And then the most expensive one was like, I think a Marriott was like $95. So obviously there's options. If you want to go on the more expensive route, yeah, you can go to a Marriott or something like that. But it's not that expensive. It's only a small additional fee. I think it's like $35 per night. But in our experience, in our opinion, it's worth it bringing your dog.
So I before coming to this podcast, I asked two questions. One who have a dog, and one who don't have a dog and they don't want to have a dog. So I want to
Really?
I wanted to get a what kind of questions would you ask if I'm interviewing, right? So one individual who have a dog, he brought a very good question, and I want to share with you and see if what's your thought on that. So he asked that, okay, which is a good thing that you're traveling with dog, you're going to a hotel. Let's say, for an example, you go to Vegas, you stay in a Bellagio or one of the finest hotel. In that hotel, you want to have your private moments, you want to go on a dinner, you want to go certain places in the casino, and you can't because you have a dog. Now there is going to be, and if you leave it in a hotel, what if they scratch or they make, how do you, what is that message you would have for people who are in a dilemma about that thought process?
I think there's plenty of things you could do. I know that there's services, like there's people you can hire to come and watch your dog.
Even in your trip, on your trip.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
personally don't do it. We actually find that we aren't as happy without her with us. So we're
Okay.
like, okay, well, let's find a really cool, like, dog-friendly brewery we can go to and grab a nice dinner. But when we're all together, we find that we're smiling more. We're less worried that, oh, what is she doing? Is she ripping something up in the hotel? Is she okay? Is the dog sitter a reliable person? We kind of just like having her there with us. And for people that might be prioritizing that, then maybe you're looking for a different kind of trip. If you're going to prioritize, like, we want alone time, we don't want to bring the dog everywhere with us, we really just want to get away, just us, that's okay too. Just showing you, like, if you're going on a family vacation or if you're going on a trip and you do even think you might want to bring your dog, it's possible. But, just prioritizing and sacrificing things that you might not be able to do.
And which is one of the most, so you've how many places have you traveled in the States?
We've been
Almost
to probably,
all of them.
like 41 states,
41
I think.
states?
Yeah.
Wow. And
Maybe
which
more,
which is
just-
the most friendly dog state?
Hmm.
Wyoming?
I would say, no, well,
There's a few, like definitely Wyoming. I think Oregon was relatively dog friendly,
Oregon was really
and
great.
even New Hampshire is dog friendly.
Yeah, or Maine. I feel like
Maine.
Maine
So
would
what is
probably
the
be
definition
mine.
of friendly? Like what are some of the check marks that you think when you think about friendly?
So hikes, the amount of like stores and restaurants that allow dogs without like any, oh, it needs to be a service animal. Um, that's pretty much the big
Accommodations.
accommodations, Airbnbs. Even if like you look at an Airbnb in like Maine, for example, and it'll say we accept pets, $150 additional fee per night. Whereas like another state might be like, yeah, no additional fee, just we're happy to host your pet. So that's what we mean by like more dog friendly.
Dog friendly.
They're just
Which
more
is the
welcoming.
least? Which is the least or unwelcoming?
We had which one?
LA.
Oh,
California.
definitely California. California was very difficult to travel with her. We actually cut our trip short because it was just
I read that.
so difficult.
We wanted to take her to a dog park, and we got there and like, oh, do you have a membership? And we were like, isn't just a public dog park. She was like, no, you have to pay $120 a year to access it. I'm like, there's no grass in California. Where am I going to go? There's like
Yeah.
a 4x4 patch outside where we don't know if there's needles or anything out there because of all the homelessness in LA. So it's definitely worried us. staying
Worried
there.
us. So does that so when you're creating a content, do you also show this side of the stories too to your
Yeah.
channel? Like
We
okay,
do.
like California is not one of the most friendly,
Yep.
and some states are. But in that case, let's say you're showcasing something that this is not. But then people who live in California who have dog, do you think sometimes they may get offended, like you're trying to say something which?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So how do you deal with that?
I think that we just kind of accept that we're from a different part of the world and
Okay.
we're not used to it, and our dog isn't comfortable with what your dog might be comfortable with. And we always try and preface that, like, hey, we're not from here. This is really difficult for us as New Englanders. Like, we can't.
Yeah, for someone that maybe lived in California for 10 years, they know all the tips and secrets of like where to bring their dog, this and that. If I go to vacation to California for a week, I don't know those tips and secrets. I'm coming there blind. I don't know the best places or whatnot.
Yeah.
Kind of like show up to a restaurant. Can I bring my dog? Yes or no? And all right, on to the next.
Of
So
course.
like they
in
have
a
the
city-
advantage.
A city is always harder.
Yeah.
We
Cities
always
are
say-
harder?
Yeah, cities are very difficult.
And I would think cities would be easier because but that's not the case.
No, we avoid cities actually. We try to go somewhere
Even
like.
even in the East Coast, like New York too.
Oh, never. No,
Why?
we actually have never taken her to New York City.
Why?
It's very difficult to find places that are accommodating to dogs, and it's very few and far between where you find grass for her to go to the bathroom, where other dogs, like I think your cousin's dog, just is comfortable going on like a little sidewalk patch. And some people have like pee pads and stuff in their apartments.
They have like
and-
turf in their apartments for
Yeah.
their dog to go on.
Yeah.
A dog should go outside, in my opinion, not on a turf pad in your home.
Yeah. So
So-
for us, it's a little bit difficult to find that the cities just don't really work for us. And when we're traveling, we'll kind of choose like a suburb before a big city. Like when we were going to Chicago, we'll stay. Oh, I
Like
think
45 minutes
yeah, we stayed-
west or east of like actual Chicago downtown.
Does it become like a pressure at times that okay, you have to think now about this while you're traveling, or it just becomes a part of your second nature? Because like, do you sometimes get like okay, now I have to do this checkpoint?
So I would say sometimes, yeah, it gets there's
It-
a little pressure.
Pressure?
Yeah. There is pressure. I think more on Paulie than on me.
Well, as the
He's-
guy, I'm the protector of both Bri and Koda, so I want to make sure they're safe and the accommodations are right. And,
Yeah.
God forbid there's like a vet nearby. Because sometimes we've traveled to like Tahoe and Mammoth, and you're out there in the mountains. There might not be an accessible vet or a hospital nearby. So, like, I would like to make sure that there's
Yeah.
something within like 20 minutes, God forbid something happened. So that's like the pressure just to make sure like they're safe and comfortable.
Yeah. And
So do you also have to? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. Just making sure that there's something where we're staying and more planning. Like we always have to do more planning. There's not that way we take the pressure off. And that's what we always suggest and try and teach people is the more you plan, the less stressful this whole trip is going to be. Or it's going to be a little bit more pressure, especially
So-
on the guy.
Do you on your YouTube channel or on your social media? Do you get the questions for people who wants to buy or who wants to have a pet, but they think they're worried that I cannot be there, traveling is a bigger forefront, I can't do this because it's too much work for me. Do you get questions offline like how do you manage this, or it's just more like okay, they appreciate what you're sharing and that's about it?
I would say it's more like people appreciating what we're sharing. There have been a few comments, especially like when we do, for example, like a New Hampshire vlog in the fall. they're worried about like, how can I do it? Where do I stay? And we can only give them the experience of like,
That you have experience.
exactly,
right?
like the
Yeah.
Airbnbs we've stayed at. Like it worked for us and may or may not work
May
for
not
you.
work for. So when and I was reading about few last year, was it last or last year? Like American Airlines now have for the dogs, they allow as a part of the carry-ons. You can take dogs, but I don't know the size. Do you?
There's usually a size
Is
requirement.
a size, right?
Yeah, they're usually like
They have
30
to
pounds or less or something.
30 pounds,
They
right?
have to
Yeah.
fit in like essentially like a cat carrier
Okay.
under your
Mhm.
seat.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Koda would not be able to fit.
Of course.
in
So
that.
now, if you're traveling with him, let's say California is a long trip with a time difference, so almost 7, 8 hours, right? How does that take up? So is that the ticket? What that you have to buy a ticket, right? Is that
So
a
no,
same?
we did not have to buy the ticket for that.
Why
so
is that?
You want to talk the bark area? You want to talk about that or me?
Oh yeah, because we can't fly with her on the commercial airplanes
You cannot fly with the. Why is that?
Unless she was a service dog.
unless she was a service dog, or we put her under the plane with the luggage, which we refuse to do that. It's very
I
So
want to go back. When you say you cannot travel, what is it because they say so the airline says you can only put them in a luggage area. Is that? And you
if
prefer
there's-
not to be in that space.
right.
Okay.
So you could, but they also deny dogs too. So it's kind of it's a dicey situation. It's not reliable. It's not a reliable source of travel.
A lot of people do it. We've heard good stories. We've heard bad stories. It's just for us personally, we will never put her underneath the plane.
Okay.
Just
It's not worth
we've
it.
heard of dogs die from underneath the plane. It's very sad. But
Really?
yeah,
Hmm.
But you also have to pay for it's like a cost is
Oh
as
yeah, you have to
it's
pay a
a
lot of money.
more than you would pay for yourself to travel from destination A to B.
Yeah.
I never looked that up because I was like, I'm just never an option. But
So how do you go then if you travel?
You
Like,
drive.
yeah,
we
So
drive
for
everywhere.
California, you
Mhm.
drove to California?
so
We
we've-
drove back. But
no. Before that, so 2023, we drove to Oregon and back. In 2024, we partnered with Bark Air and we flew on a private jet to California, and then we drove back. So Koda has been across the country 3 times in a car, and 1 on an airplane.
hmm and also up and down the East Coast, 4 times I think.
Yeah.
So she's gone long distances in the car.
So
And-
like what you were saying earlier, like the decisions you make or the changes you make. I wish we could fly to California, be there in 6 hours.
6 hours.
Hi, you see somebody?
Yeah, but that's a lot.
So we'll drive 42 hours or whatever it is. Obviously, you can't drive straight through. You can't drive long hours because she'll have to go to the bathroom. She gets uncomfortable. So it's fun, but it definitely is a lot driving with the car. But it's a sacrifice we chose and we're happy with because we get to bring her these massive hikes in Wyoming, these awesome glacier lakes in like Idaho.
These crazy bucket list experiences that we get these awesome memories with our dog at. So
My favorite saying is it's her life too, or it's her first time living too. She should experience it as well, versus just being inside of a house.
Love it.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm amazed. This something I would have never known this. So you're saying that so many people struggle with this, right? With this flying.
oh yeah, it's a big controversy.
So I have a question for you. You're engaged, right? Of course, wedding. Looking forward to that news. There is a trend about the destination wedding these days, right? Let's say you plan out, and that happens to be the case. Hypothetical scenario.
yeah,
And destination is outside the country. Let's say. How would you manage that? Wouldn't that be a lot of?
well,
Have you even has this even crossed your mind, or I'm putting
Oh,
in
if
the
you
seed?
only
your
knew.
hypothetical situation is very probable.
Your hypothetical is actually our current reality.
Yeah.
So you have thought. Okay, I'm not putting a
Yes.
seed in your thoughts.
Nope. We thought about
Nope.
getting married in Italy because we're both Italian
Okay.
and we'd love
Yes.
to just.
Well, we love to travel.
Yeah.
And that's how we spend a huge part of our relationship. We just travel everywhere, and we're like, how are we gonna not do a destination wedding? Like, it's
So how so my question would be is the wedding becomes or your gown becomes a first point or the travel with her becomes a big point. Which one is the forefront of the
Koda.
discussion? Koda?
Coda. Yes. So,
Wow.
there's the option of saving money and trying to fly on Bark Air, or maybe just going somewhere a little bit more local, like in America, somewhere we could
America.
drive. And
Okay.
though Italy would be gorgeous and
Of
beautiful,
course.
we would also be sacrificing something that we usually never sacrifice, which is,
I mean,
Koda.
Koda would make it there 100%. It would just be more expensive to get it,
Yes.
get it
More
over there.
expensive.
yes.
I heard a couple of times you said about Bark Air. What is Bark Air?
So Bark Air is a dog-first private airline.
I think you should give a little backstory on Bark Air. So,
Bark. Okay.
so there's a company called Bark and Bark Box. They do like
Right.
monthly
BARK.
subscriptions.
Bark Air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they created an airline called Bark Air, where they put, like Bri was saying, dogs first. So they don't believe dogs should be put underneath the airplane. So they created a private jet charter where people can buy tickets with their dogs and they fly first in a private jet. They prioritize the dog first. They'll make sure their dog has puppuccinos and massages and lotion, and they truly take care of the dog first. Then the humans come second.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
But the humans travels too, right? It's like
Yes.
pet owners travel.
Right.
It's not like an airline where it's just everybody goes, but they treat dog as a part of the what, or is it very catered towards people who are actually traveling with the dog?
It is catered toward people traveling with the dog.
With the dog,
It's
okay.
really just kind of like it's an experience you're buying almost.
Okay.
And you're just, for people who are like us that prioritize their dog first. And when we went, that's exactly who we met. Is just a plane full of people who have the same feelings as us, that your dog is just as important as you are, your child is. So that's,
So, but then I have not heard. It's not a mainstream thing, right?
It's new. It was new of last year.
yeah, it was.
Oh, so it's fairly new.
It
Yep.
is. It is. Yeah.
When we worked with them, we were on their second flight.
Mm-hmm.
Second flight.
Mhm.
Wow. And so where did you flew?
We flew from Westchester Airport and we flew to Los Angeles, but the Van Nuys
Van
Airport,
Nuys, yeah.
because they didn't want to do LAX because it's very busy and a lot of traffic, and they want more of a right on, right off type of experience.
So is the cost like what is the cost?
So that flight, if we were to do it, would have cost us $12,000 total. $6,000 buys your dog a ticket, and it comes with one human. And then if I were to go on it, I would have to buy a second ticket. So it is definitely very expensive, and they're trying to keep the cost low, but that's just what their starting price was.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of.
It's a lot of money. So it's not really affordable, I would say, in any way. But
And that's the backlash. We got a lot of backlash on the cost of it because we worked with them, so we didn't have to pay, but we had to create content for them. And then a lot of the comments were, "It would be nice, but I can't afford a $6,000, plane ticket with my dog." And that's fair. That was very expensive.
Yeah, it's like
ticket.
12,000 is a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's also one way too.
One way. So 25,000 almost.
It would be round
Correct.
trip. Yeah.
Wow.
so that's why for the wedding, we're like, maybe if we were able to make enough money to, spare on the side that we could just kind of throw away on a flight, or if we did, one of us flew Bark Air and then the other flew commercial. But, it shows you it's not easy to travel with a dog if you're going abroad, or if you're even flying on a commercial plane. You can't. I mean, you could if you have a small dog or if you are comfortable putting your dog underneath, but it shows you that there really is a market for it. These flights are always booked.
Yeah, they are.
You mean Bark here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're always
Always
booked.
booked.
Yeah.
And they've grown their routes. They'll fly to Paris. They'll fly to London, Fort Lauderdale, Michigan, California, Oregon.
Wow.
They've expanded, which the prices haven't come down at all yet, but
We're hoping soon.
yeah.
Wow.
But on the contrary to the other wedding idea would be South Carolina,
Yes.
and we would drive down there.
Yeah.
That way Koda could be a part of it.
South, is there family there? Anybody? South?
No, we traveled there right when we got Koda. That was the first trip we took Koda on after she got all of her vaccines and stuff. And it was just, she loved it.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of special to us.
Charleston, South Carolina, right on the water and the beaches. And so that was fun. We're still thinking though.
Yeah.
I want to shift the subject a little bit from content to. I want to, being a creative mind comes with own perks and challenges, right? So you're continuously creating something that you think through. You're a photographer. You're also a YouTube content creator. Is that something that becomes a forefront of your day-to-day life, and this is what the main incomes, or is there something that you do outside and make this as a part-time? How does it financially work it out in a way that it helps you navigate through your finances?
You want to take this over me?
I think being photographers first is what helped us do what we are actually passionate about first. I think, you know, when we first started, we actually both got COVID, and we were like, you know, this kind of sucks. Like we've lived in our hometown our whole lives. So what can we do to get out of here? So we both had money saved up, and we went out to Oregon, and we lived there for a couple months, and we started our journey there. And then we started doing more photography and more photography. And Paulie was like, you know, we could really get paid for this. We should start reaching out to brands and hotels and companies. And that's how we started, and that's how we're still going and still making most of our income.
So photography.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was on your Instagram, I was following. There was one, I can't remember. There was this shadow of the water with that orange thing in the backdrop. Like, it's like a little mountain.
Oh, Cannon Beach in Oregon.
That
Yeah.
was so
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
That
It
was
is a
so amazing. I
beautiful
saw that like
place.
5 times.
Yeah.
And the way you guys capture, is it through iPhone or is it through the...
No, we have all professional Canon equipment and stuff
Okay.
like that.
So the photography is the something that you make that as a business that you know you thrive
Yeah.
towards, and the YouTube is another channel that you think through to get the another income, right?
Yeah, we have
Yes.
multiple streams of income. We do the photography, we do YouTube, we work with brands through UGC, which is user generated content. So, for example, one of the companies we work for, they'll send us products, and then we'll photograph those products in like a lifestyle setting. We send them back, and they
And they're
use them.
dog-related products.
No, so we have our dog in them, but they're not dog related. They're coolers.
Okay.
But we never post them on our personal page. No one
Okay.
really knows we do it. They just send it to us. We give them the photos, and that's it. We've been with them for what, 4 years now, 5
Yeah.
years. So
So would you be like, is that a lucrative business to be in, or do you think that if you have a message for, let's say, my 13-year-old behind the camera, and if he wants to get into this, what are some of the challenges that you think that comes with the content? Because everybody wants to do it, but not everybody is successful. They do it to a degree and then they leave because it's hard. But
is
it's
hard.
all about consistency, and you're making your way, and one fine day is just going to click. What is that, some of the challenges, and what are some of the messages that you would give to a young Paulie and Bri who would start tomorrow?
It's hard. It's going to be hard. But anything worth having is hard. And stay consistent. Keep going, even when everybody tells you that this is a crazy idea, this is stupid, you should...
you're wasting your time. You're not going to make any money.
Mm-hmm.
To keep going and never give up, because I read an article or a quote. It was like, they'll all, like when you're starting off, they'll all put you down, but then when you're already made it, they'll congratulate you. It's like, well, where were you when I was starting? You know,
Yes.
you were so against me starting, but now you want to congratulate me that I made it.
And do you think that because of this generation, and there is also a previous generation who never grew up with this mindset, do you think it's hard to convince the previous generation within the family?
Oh
Because
my
the
God.
family is the forefront. They will say, I'll tell you this. There was this the Indian actor, Shah Rukh Khan. He's the most viewed actor in the world, even bigger than Tom Cruise from a population perspective. He was once interviewed, and he was asked, like, you know, when I was doing in his initial days of career, his mother, he went to his mother and said, you know, I went to London for the first time. I did this, you know, my movie's out there. He said, yeah, but what is your job day to day? So his mother never thought that this is a job.
Mm-hmm.
It was so then you have a father and a mother, and you know, your family who grew up in the different environment. How do you prove them that, okay, this is also a new way of making money?
A check. Once you get a check.
But then it's not a consistent check, right? The
No.
content is not like you're continuously working through, and you're not going to get the same amount of money every month.
Yeah.
So does that create some sort of a stress and environment financially?
No matter what, it's always stressful, because most people go to their 9 to 5 knowing they'll collect a paycheck from their 40 hours. For us, it's stressful because, like, we only get what we put in. If we don't work, if we don't reach out to companies, we're not going to get paid. But it's stressful, but we know, like with anything, ups and downs. Some months will be great and we'll break numbers. Some months will be our lowest number. So it does even out to like an average, pay for someone, I guess you want to call it that. But
End of the day, it works out
Yeah.
that way.
It does.
It does.
I think convincing our parents in the beginning was the most difficult thing that we did. And I almost wish we didn't tell them so early, because it was very, very hard every day to hear, when are you going to get a job? When are you guys going to actually start getting paid for what you're doing? And that was really hard to hear. And, you know, I think if I was going to give advice to anybody, I would actually say, you know, I wouldn't tell anybody what you were doing until you find the success that they're going to ask you about.
But don't you think that with that point, I 100% agree, but do you think that could also be a point where people might think it that, okay, if there is somebody to guide you, that, okay, maybe that's not the path that you want to be, and if having an adult or a wise person behind you could give you that thought process, but that person also have to be open to understand that thought,
They
right?
would. I
Yeah.
feel like
I
you
think
would
it's
have
like
to kind of experiment with questions
Yes.
beforehand and just say, hey, what do you think about this?
So what is now? What is their reaction now?
Oh my gosh, now they're, what are you guys doing this week? Where are you going? Are you working with any new companies? I think they're our biggest supporters. You know, of course, they're our parents, so they're always worried about us and if we're
Of
going to be
course.
okay. And I think I think the strongest point that we just kept bringing to the table was, if it doesn't work, we can always go back to what we were doing before, which, you know, it never happened. But, you know, you could always go get a job, and you
But-
could always do something. But when you're in your 20s, experiment and
Experiment.
try something.
You know, I'll tell you, when your father was on my show, after he was done, I very much clearly remember when we off the camera, he said, "You have to get my daughter and her boyfriend to be on this, because they do this thing, they will love it."
Yeah.
So in a way, he was appreciative of what you guys are doing, right?
Once we
That's
showed
his-
him what can happen, and once we showed him a few checks and showed him
then-
we can be successful with this, he is our biggest supporter.
Yeah, he's like, now how can you double that?
Yeah.
It's like, how can you make more money?
Now you have a different stress to handle
Yeah.
in this situation, right?
Yes, but
You
he's
know,
a businessman.
he's a
So
businessman,
of course
yeah.
he thinks this
He's
way.
an amazing guy. You know, I would love to carry on this, but the time is the limit. Before we leave, I have one specific. And while I was driving, this question came: if your dog could talk, what would he say about she being a celebrity?
That she doesn't get paid enough.
Thank you very much.
No,
Thank
this was
you.
awesome.
So
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you. This means a lot.
We'd love to do a-
Thank you for having us.
We'd love to do a
Thank you.
part 2 if you allow us one day.
Of
too.
course, of course. Any last message before we call it?
One last thing I saw this the other day. It was like, you know, they say actions speak louder than words.
Yes.
I love Koda so much, and obviously she loves us. And it's crazy that we've never exchanged a single word to each other. So if that to me is like the most important message about dogs, is like, we've never spoken a word, but there's so much love and passion and happiness to each other.
That's a very good
That's
one.
very
Very
sweet.
profound. Yeah. You know, with that, I'll say one thing before we end up. I was reading a book. In that, there was a similar line. It came, and it was about like when two people are in anger to each other, and when they're very angry, they loudly speak to try to bring their point. So even though they're close, so why would they need to speak loud? They can say it very politely, right?
Yeah.
Because their hearts are not too close; they're very far. But when you're in love, your hearts are close. You actually speak slowly because you're trying to convey, because their hearts together. But you're immensely in love, then you whisper. But when you're blindly in love, you don't need to say anything. And that's what you said, right?
Yep.
That's the last part of the picture I can imagine to what you just said. You know, you're in immense love, and I can see it. I can see it on your face. Like, you know, I have never seen. I am personally. My kids want to have a dog, but I am not that person, because I feel like they will leave it to me on a snowy day to take him or her out. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I have done it, seen it, but hats off to you guys.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
making our way.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Thank you.